Hi, everyone, and welcome to the LatinX Business Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Gomez, and if you're looking to demystify the world of business through the raw, authentic stories of Latinx entrepreneurs, you've come to the right place. As someone with an MBA and an IRS enrolled agent license, I spent years helping freelancers, partnerships, and S corporations navigate the often tricky waters of the US tax law. Now, I'm bringing that expertise and passion to this community right here. So thank you for tuning in, and you know what? It's time to talk business. Okay, Joanna, thank you so much for coming on the show. I do want to welcome you for coming on to the Latinx Business Show today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and you know what? So why don't we start off with telling the audience your name and your company's name and the services that you provide.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. My name's Joanna Segoviano. I am a business owner of a beautiful home staging company called Viano Decor. We specialize in staging vacant homes under 3,000 square feet and within a 30-mile radius of Downey, California. Our ideal clients are realtors, investors, builders, and homeowners. So, yeah, we are a home staging company.
Oh, okay. That sounds super exciting because let me tell you, I recently moved, so buying and having to, look at TV shows to get some inspiration. I think that was like I'm sure everyone's like, I should become an interior designer or decorator and stuff.
Yes.
But you're actually...
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the home staging industry and the decor industry has really been super popular, especially the last few years. Everybody's watching these awesome shows, Fixer Upper, Flip or Flop, and they're just getting inspired by these shows to have their homes really beautifully decorated and renovated. And it's a fun job. It definitely is.
Yeah, it sounds like you enjoy it a lot too, which is a plus on top of all the hard work, right? Because any is hard work. So it sounds like you really, really enjoy it. So I'm glad to have you on today. Well, a couple of housekeeping items, because I do ask everyone these two questions. What's your preferred pronoun? And how do you identify within the Latinx community?
Yeah, absolutely. Preferred pronoun is she. And I identify myself as Mexican American. And that's because my parents were born in Mexico and I was born here in America.
Okay. Piggybacking off of where your parents were born, give me a little bit more history about what part of Mexico they were born in.
Yeah, absolutely. So my parents are from Guanajuato, Mexico. They're from a ranchito called Cruz de Aguilar. It's close to Romita, Guanajuato. And my father migrated to the United States in his early 20s, worked for about 2 years as a truck driver, saved enough money, and made arrangements for my mother and two older siblings to migrate to the United States. We all grew up in the east side of Los Angeles, and we've all been inseparable since then. I have 6 siblings, and my parents just celebrated their 50th anniversary. So that's very important to our family, which is putting God first and family first and going to church every Sunday.
Yeah. Oh my God. 50 years. That is definitely an accomplishment. Yes. So my congratulations to your parents. And I'm going to say you're a tocaya because my parents are also from Mexico and I also grew up in East LA. So it is very good to hear.
Las momias de Guanajuato.
Well, we're not in Guanajuato, but my parents are from Aguascalientes, which is really, really close to Guanajuato.
I have an aunt that lives in Aguascalientes. Yeah. I'm very familiar.
Yeah, so it's like even more joyous to just hear that like another person from the hood or from East Los is
like my dad would say, somos paisanos.
Yes, exactly. Thank God. But no, it's so good to hear. I love the fact. So in terms of then how you started in your industry, why don't you take us through your personal journey? Like how did you get into the home staging industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am in the real estate home staging industry. For those that are unfamiliar with the term of home staging, it's the act of preparing a home for sale by decorating it with furniture and decor so it can appeal to the highest number of potential buyers. Obviously, we want to make these homes look so beautiful and full of life and make them look like model homes so that people get excited when they walk into a home. And it really started in 2015. I attended a motivational event and their guest speaker was someone named Nelly Galan. And Nelly Galan is an independent producer and the former president of entertainment for Telemundo. And she was the guest speaker for that day. And after listening to her story and how she contributed some of her success to real estate, I was immediately inspired to pursue a career in real estate. She's the one she's the one that says, ladies, buy buildings, not shoes. And I love that phrase. And I was just inspired by that. Yeah. And I agree with her. Yes, let's buy buildings. And a few weeks after attending that event, I got my real estate license and helped 6 of my family and friends purchase their first home within weeks of being licensed. And it was so much fun. And it wasn't until about a year later where my sister decided to sell her house because she moved to the Inland Empire. Her home was vacant. And my team leader at that time said, hey, you should definitely get this home staged because they sell for more money and in less time. And we're trying to create a record deal here. And that's when I picked up the phone. I called a few staging companies. We booked one of them. She charged us $3,600 over the phone. Charged my sister's credit card. A few days later, I saw my sister's home, and after it got staged, and I said, wow, this home looks incredible. And it was then really when I initially had the idea to possibly start a home staging business. So that's kind of where I got the first idea. And after that, I just texted my siblings. I said, hey, Stephanie, hey, Manuel, I have a really good business idea. Do you guys want to be a part of it? And my sister said no. My brother Manuel said yes. And what we did is right there in East LA, there was a storage unit center called McAllen Storage Center. It's on Olympic and Goodrich, right by the Starbucks and the Commerce Theater. So we got one little storage, and then we got 2 storages, and then 3 storages. And really, it was just really meant to be a side gig, a hobby, something that I was doing on the side. But the referrals went crazy. Like, everybody was referring us. Because I was already in the real estate industry, I was asking my realtor buddies, hey, can we stage a house for you? Hey, can we stage your listing? And they were all saying yes. And I also joined. Nice. Yeah. So it was like, oh my God, this was supposed to be a side gig. And it was getting really overwhelmed because we grew so fast. And really, that's how it started. It started with an idea, and then it transformed into a referral business. And then after I saw how fast the business was growing, I said, okay, I should turn this into a business and not make it into a side gig, because tax reasons and just the way I was collecting money and filing taxes, I just felt that it was best to turn it into a business. And we officially became a business January 1st, 2018. And in 2018, that whole year, we staged 94 homes our first year in business, which is incredible.
Jesus, that seems like so much work. 94 home stages in 1 year.
Yes. Our second year, it went up to 129 or 127, 129. And then this year, we're about 150. So it just keeps growing and growing. And again, it just started from a little idea and turning into massive action.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you're considering like how many homes you can stage in 1 week or, at a given time, like I'm just trying, like it probably takes you a couple of days to like get stuff into one house, have it up, and then you have to also think about when you're going to bring that down when the home sells. So there's a lot of production that goes into this.
Absolutely. And in the beginning, it would take us 1 to 2 days to stage a home. Now, because we're so experienced, we can stage a home in 2 hours or less. It's just amazing. We can stage a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in like 2 hours because we have systems, we have the experience, and now we get it done. And we have all the inventory. I have a 5,000 square foot warehouse, and I own all my furniture. So it's definitely easier to transport the furniture. I have a commercial truck. I have a great team of movers and designers. So now, yes, at the beginning, it would take us a couple of days to stage one home, but now it takes us about 2 to 3 hours on average.
Right, which is allowing you to stage more homes throughout the year. So your business model.
And you know what's so interesting, that in the beginning, I remember people would tell me, oh yeah, this top stager stages 20 houses a month. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, how awesome it would be to stage 20 houses in 1 month. Those are goals. That would be incredible. And now that's what we're doing. We're staging about 15 to 20 houses a month. And I'm that stager that I wish I was when I first started, which is incredible. It's just amazing. I didn't see this coming. It's definitely not something that I grew up with. It's not like I always enjoyed decorating my houses and design. It's just I just had an idea and I went for it, engaged in massive action, talked to the right people, and we made it happen.
Yeah, you know what? And you had a foot in the door in the real estate industry. So
I think that helped a lot because my realtor buddies said, "Hey, yes, you are starting a new business venture. We will love to support you. Come and stage my house. Hey, I have a buddy that wants to stage. I talked to them about you. You should go talk to them." And that definitely helped me get started in the industry.
So in terms of this being, it first started off as an idea and it was just a side gig, like a side hustle. From there, what lesson or what challenge would you be able to talk about for our audience? Because, actually I do have clients that reach out to me and I talk to them about the incorporation process and when they should legitimize their business instead of running a and the pros and the cons with doing so because for liability purposes. But what was the challenge, or what was the lesson that made you say, you know what, I need to incorporate and I need to make this a legitimate business?
It's interesting because I actually owned a business before I owned this one, and I tried other multi-level companies. And what's interesting about this particular business and home staging is that with this business, I was growing with my business. I was investing into this business as I was growing. I think now that I've experienced two types of businesses, one where I'm trying so hard to make it work. I'm trying very hard to bring in clients. I'm trying very hard to get customers. That's one business model that I tried, and that's honestly the hardest. And then I discovered this business model where people were just calling me. My phone wouldn't stop ringing, and we're just getting booked left and right. And that's the difference. That's when I said, maybe I should look into getting incorporated. I should look into turning this into a business because this is a volume that I'm not familiar with. This is not my territory. I'm going to seek professional advice. And that's when I reached out to a financial advisor and I explained to him my situation. I said, hey, I've owned a business before, but this is the first time where I have a lot of volume coming in. And I'm pretty sure that I shouldn't be filing it under my name. What do you suggest? And he said, I think you should get a corporation. And I think that moving forward, when you get paid, it should be under your corporation because of tax purposes. And that's when I decided to incorporate it because my business was growing faster than what I anticipated.
I'm glad you bring that up because for example, I had a client who's also a friend, and we went on a hike, and she was talking to me about how she wants to start this business. And she's like, how do I legitimize it? How do I become a business, right? And I actually told her, hey, this is America. So anyone can start a business, and anyone can be a sole proprietor. But if I want to make an extra buck from you, I would tell you, go ahead and incorporate now. Even though you haven't started your business, you don't have a proven business model, you're not making revenue, but you have a concept, right? So people will take my advice because I'm the accountant and I'm advising them this is a proper way of doing it. But whether you should or should not incorporate at the moment or when you first start is more of a business question, not a tax law question, right? In terms of incorporating.
If I as I reflect in my past, I really wouldn't change the way I went about it because again, I started it as a side hustle, as additional income. Like, oh, I'm gonna stage a home here and there. I'm gonna get paid some extra bucks for some part-time work. And because my business started growing, then that's when I started asking the right questions. Should I get incorporated? Is it a C corporation? Is it an S corporation? When do I file my EIN number? And I feel that when I did all that was by the time that I decided this is my business model, this is my system, these are my ideal clients, this is my target audience, this is how I'm going to perform my business, this is how I'm going to execute it, this is how I'm going to grow it, versus if I had done all of that right when I had the idea 6 months prior to that, I would have been probably just spending money on something that I don't know if it was going to be great one day. And what I'm trying to say by that is hey, I played with my business a little bit. I kept on growing it and expanding it. And then I said, okay, this is time to, really sit down and see what's going to be the best for my business versus what if you decide that wasn't for me? What if I said, hey, I hate carrying furniture. These clients are difficult to work with. I don't want to do this anymore. And I already had invested in getting incorporated.
So I think there's so many compliance items that, folks are not advised of because anyone could incorporate on their own or through company online or through their accountant, of course, so there's so many, it's so easy to do that but then you have like fees you gotta pay, you have a separate tax return, you have, other statements you have to file every year, you got books you gotta run, you gotta hire a bookkeeper, an accountant, so there's so many things that I feel like, I definitely, do tell everyone like the long-term importance of incorporating is for liability purposes. But, in the beginning, like you should definitely, you should first see if your business idea works out, if that makes sense. I think that's a very important lesson. So I hope if anyone's listening out there that wants to start their own business or has an idea, I would first work with, proving your revenue model first. I agree. Right? So once you and because everyone can report that self-employed income, that hustle on the side on your personal tax return. But when you're ready, the other thing that I like that you said was that you reached out to a financial advisor, and that financial advisor may not be a tax accountant, but it is someone that will be on your side rooting for you to succeed. Because they do have financial knowledge and they know what products or items, entrepreneurs are going to need. So I'm really glad to hear that you reached out to a financial advisor because not too many people know that, you should reach out to a financial advisor, you ask questions, you should reach out to an incorporating lawyer that incorporates businesses and a tax accountant. You reach out to payroll people and see like, how is that process going to work? Because nobody tells you, but everyone has this great idea of being like self-employed.
Yeah, and I got really lucky because right when I decided to start my home staging business, one of my colleagues, Nelson Torres, he's a title officer, he invited me to BNI, which is a business networking international organization. You get to network with other professionals, and that's where I met my financial advisor, my tax preparer, my brand manager, my estate planner. I met everybody there. And because they saw that I was just getting started with this business, they said, this is your foundation. This is the kind of insurance coverage you have. You need liability, you need workers' comp. And what was great about teaming up with them is that I received all those services when my business needed them. I didn't get them all at the same time. As my business was growing, I was adding more people to my team. And all these individuals that I just mentioned, I call them my board of directors. And I have a business coach that I coach with every Friday. And she told me, if you're going to take advice from people that are part of your board of directors. They don't have to physically be a part of your board of directors. They could be imaginary. So decide now who's going to be your board of directors. And those are people that you trust, that you like, and you know that they're the experts in that field. And you're going to be getting your advice from them. That way, if you get, Miss Joe Smo over here on the side that says something about your business, if she's not somebody that you've established already, that it's okay to give you advice, then you're just going to disregard that. And that has been such a key takeaway for me. Every time that I'm in trouble or I need something, especially like this year with the pandemic and COVID, I reached out to my business lawyer colleague and I said, hey, Sanjay, I need you to help me write a COVID waiver form so that all my clients are aware of COVID and they're giving us permission to come into their home and they're aware of this pandemic. And he wrote that up, sent me my invoice, and now I'm protected. And that has been awesome. I am fully, my team is the best. and I contribute a lot of my success to my teammates.
Yeah, and that's so important. I'm glad you're saying that because, you have an idea, but really that idea needs a whole village to have that idea be executed. And I think that's why so many, entrepreneurs fail. And I'm glad that you said that you had a prior business because let me tell you, this being a tax accountant was not my first business.
Same here.
and that is the case for many, many entrepreneurs. It takes like 3-4 ideas before you actually get the one that hits and takes off. So I think you're a prime example. And the fact that you're from East LA and that you're Latina and that you're working really hard and making good money, like I love that. And I feel like you're only going to inspire like other little girls or, more people in the community.
I get so many DMs from young ladies saying, first and foremost, I just want to thank you so much for taking the risk of starting this business. It's awesome to see a Latina business owner, especially from East LA. And it's just amazing. I have like a little waiting list of young ladies that want to come and intern at our company and work with us. And that's just so beautiful. Getting those messages is what keeps me going when times get tough. And I think about the people that we're inspiring. Yes. And especially if you see me in person, I look really young. I look probably like 14 years old. And they're like, how is it that you own a business and you own properties and you do this and you do that and you accomplish so much at a young age? I'm like, what? I'm 30 now, but thank you. So.
You know what's funny? I think I had another interview not that long ago where they told me that, one of their challenges has been that they've had a baby face. And I think it's like a Latino issue because we have such good genes.
We do. I think for me, for some reason, I look younger and younger instead of older.
Every year. Oh my God, with age, yes. Okay, so in your journey of being a Latina business entrepreneur, have you ever felt alone? Do you think that, aside from your team in the business aspect, what about in your personal life? Like, how has it been for yourself personally to take on such a big task of running a really successful company?
I mean, I sometimes feel alone because my mind is always racing. I'm always thinking big. I'm always thinking of more. And I feel like sometimes people interpret that as she's not content with what she has. She's already successful. Why do you want more? Why do you need more? And the truth is, growth is progress for me. If I'm not growing, I feel like I'm dying. So if I'm continuously thinking of ideas to increase my business, to expand the business, if I'm thinking about buying more properties and saving up for buying my building, and my biggest dream is to own the Viano Hotel and Casino on Las Vegas Boulevard. And my mind's always just thinking and racing and running. And I feel like sometimes I feel lonely because some people don't get it. And it's not because I want more money or I'm interested about the money. It has nothing to even do with that. I don't even care about that. I just care so much about growth. I believe that I have so much potential. And one day when I go to heaven, I want to be like, I maxed out my potential. I used the most I possibly could. I squeezed everything I possibly could out of my little brain. and that's where I feel lonely sometimes, because I feel like sometimes people don't get it. They don't understand that I'm pursuing more and more, not because I want to make more money, but because I know that I have the potential to achieve more and more. And I'm the first in my family to do a lot of cool things, like study abroad, and not to own a business because my older sisters own businesses, but maybe own a business at a younger age and just keep thriving and keep winning. And I'm such a winner. But in specifically to Viano Decor, I think when I felt lonely was at the beginning, because we were extremely overwhelmed with work. We had no idea how fast our business was going to grow. And the hardest part was that half of the time, my team and I had no idea what we were doing. My best friend and I, we were the stagers, and it's not like we went to design school. We have no prior experience. And that was really challenging because we had no experience in decorating homes. However, we did have naturally a good eye for design and just a passion for decor. And that was challenging. Another challenge we faced was that I was balancing two careers. I was being a reliable and trustworthy real estate agent and managing a fast-growing home staging business. And balancing both careers was really difficult at some point. However, now looking back, it was definitely a blessing, because since the beginning, I had to manage two businesses. It forced me to create Viano Decor, to let it run on its own. I said, hi team, if you need my support, I'm a call away, make it happen, do a great job, call me if you need anything, bye. And my team staged 200 homes without me the first 2 years. I wasn't really involved in Viano Decor in 2017 and 2018. I didn't get involved until this year, 2020. And that's only because my key employee suffered from COVID. One of her family members got COVID. Her grandfather passed away, and I was forced to come back into the business. And that's when I realized, wow, my team does so much. We have an incredible company. And the reason why I created that business model where it didn't depend on me is because I was busy selling real estate and I didn't want to let my clients down. And although it was a challenge at that time, right now I see it as a blessing because I am able to own two businesses that are both successful, and I don't have to physically be there for them to continue running. And that is awesome. I can go to Cancun, sip pina coladas, and work from a computer, and my Viano Decor business will keep on thriving, keep winning, keep running, because that's the way I built it from the beginning.
And you know what? That's the American dream right there. Like, you want to build wealth and be able to run a company, but you know, there's so much hard work that goes into any business that at some point, like, you should be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? And I find that, like, so many of our people in our community are just told, like, you need to work, put in more hours. I'm like, well, no, that's not the American dream either.
The business that I owned before Viano Decor, I had two business partners, and one of them, he taught me the importance of working on your business, not in your business. And I at first I didn't understand him, and I said, Sean, please explain to me, what does that mean? And he says, if you are working on money making activities, that's working on your business. But if you're scanning papers, if you're returning calls, if you're doing this, if you're doing minimal work, that's working in your business, and that's not bringing in revenue to your company. You need to focus on strategy, on marketing, on business development. That's working on your business. So although I was not physically present the first 2 years with my teammates and physically staging companies, I was out there doing business development. And according to this mentor I had, that's money making activity, that's working on your business. And I really learned how to master that. He would ask me to literally track what was I doing every 30 minutes to make sure I was working on the business, not in my business. And that really helped me when I started Viano Decor, because I said, teammates, I love you. I would love to help you stage this home, but I need to be out there doing business development, growing the business, growing our profits, and making it happen. And that's what I did. And I learned how to master that.
Yeah. And so that goes to show that, you know, the pipeline doesn't get created by itself, right? So in order for your team to have those homes to be staged, you need to be out there getting that business for them. So I'm glad you bring that up, because I guess I'll admit, I recently just got myself a business coach, but I had not in the past. So, you know, there's so much to learn from that, and from being able or reflecting from another point of view, and just, you know, someone that can tell you, like, hey, you can change this, you can do that, here's another way of thinking about that circumstance is important. And just being open to it, you know, because so many people, I think, just want to run business and say this is the only way things should be done. And I think that's when we run into problems.
And actually, I can provide you a very specific example to what you just said. For example, my business coach, like I mentioned, we check in every Friday. And last Friday, during our check-in, I said, honestly, I'm a little sad. And she said, why? And I said, because my business has slowed down in the month of November. I'm sure it has to do with the holidays. I'm sure it has to do with the stay-at-home order that the government just recently released. And I'm really sad. But I'm not sad because of the income. I'm sad because I'm not able to provide work for my employees. That's the one that, it hurts me the most, because my employees ask me, do we have work tomorrow? Do we have work tomorrow? And it breaks my heart to respond no, because I know that they're depending on work and income to provide for their families. And I was telling her that I was sad about it. And she said, okay, let's come up with a game plan. And we did. And we created like this promotional thing for December, where if you hire our company to help you decorate your work environment, your small business, your lobby, and if you spend $500 or more on our furniture that we already own, then we provide the consultation and installation for free, which is a really, really good deal, because If it wasn't for that promotion, you would be paying about $125 an hour. And that solved my problem, because as we're booking small business owners who want to decorate their lobbies or their office space or their homes, now I'm providing work for my employees, and it just doesn't limit it to home staging. Now we're expanding into small businesses, restaurants, chiropractic, dental offices. And that is a reflection of someone coming in like a business coach, seeing it from a third party point of view and giving her input. And look, we booked this awesome lobby in the fashion district in downtown LA. We're going to stage their lobby and their office. And we added more work, not only for Viano Decor, but for employees. So it solved our problem.
Yeah. And you know what? That story is amazing, because that, just makes me think about the pandemic and how during economic downturns, like companies are really forced to be thinkers outside the box, because if you stay stagnant, and I learned this in business school through all the books and all all the research we had to do, but like if you stay stagnant, then you will fail. Like you have just figured out another source of revenue for your company, which I think is so important, because like you said, what gets me during this time is that these workers, these employees, they're not just workers and employees. They're actual people that are providing a livelihood for their families, And to me, that's so huge. And I mean, like, for you to be able to sit down and say, like, I was able to figure out an additional stream of revenue for my income. And, like, to be honest, the pandemic forced you to think that way and forced you to, like, go out there and do that. But that third person looking inwards into your company, I think, giving you that advice, and you do pay for her advice, but at the same time, she's giving you your money's worth. So that's
investment. She is amazing, and I feel like no matter what problem or challenge I bring to the table every Friday, she always has a strategy to provide a solution for it. And I'm just amazed. I'm like, oh, everyone needs a business coach.
I love that. Okay, that's a great lesson for people out there to take with them. Now, okay, so let me ask you this question, taking it a step back. If you, for example, you said that girls reach out to you, they DM you or whatnot. What advice would you give someone that wants to enter the home staging industry or even become a real estate agent?
Honestly, I would say, ladies, invest in yourself. Read books, turn your car into a car university. Make sure you engage in personal development every single day. People will work with you because they like you, they trust you, and they know you can get the job done. And even if you have the best idea in the world, it will not work if you're not willing to invest in yourself and put in the time. And you know what's so interesting? I often ask myself, would I follow me? Would I drop everything and follow Joanna Segoviano? And my answer is yes. I would follow me because Joanna is successful. Joanna is committed. She is disciplined and she is dedicated. So you want to ask that about yourself. Would somebody follow me? And another question I like to ask myself is, who do I have to become to be a great leader? Who do I have to become to accomplish my goal of owning Viano Hotel and Casino Las Vegas Strip?
Yeah.
It's not what do I have to do. It's who do I have to become? A person with integrity, a person who has a strong work ethic, somebody who is honest and loyal and hardworking. And those are all traits that we have control of. We can pick up a book. We can listen to audible books. And that's my biggest advice, invest in yourself, because when you invest in yourself, people will be attracted to you. They're going to want to work with you. They're going to want to give you their business. And that's my advice. It's not necessarily, hey, you want to be a home stager? Okay, start buying furniture and save it in a storage. It goes beyond that, because you can have the best idea in the world. You can even have a lot of furniture. But if people don't want to work with you, then what's the point of all that?
Oh, my God. That is amazing advice. I love that. And, let me ask you this question. So if someone does want to work with you, right, because you have great core style and you guys can get the job done pretty fast, you guys are in and out, how can they get a hold of you? Do you have an Instagram account? Do you have an email, a website?
A lot of our clients come from our Instagram account. Our Instagram is at Viano Decor. And our email is staging@vianodecor.com. And that's where most people reach us, or they can contact me directly at 323-474-7539. That is my work number, and I'd be happy to connect with anyone that is looking to decorate their home, stage their home, or even uplift their work environment.
Lovely. I will also have that on the podcast notes. So if someone doesn't get that, because either they're driving or listening to the podcast while they're running, it'll be in the podcast notes. So yeah, I've reached my last question. Is there like a book or a quote that you live by currently?
Let's see. Viano, which is the name of my company, Viano Decor. So Viano is a part of my last name, Segoviano. And all of our marketing materials, our business card, our price sheet, our everything that has our logo on it also has a small little Proverbs 3:5-6 written on it, which means trust in the Lord with all your heart, seek his will in all you do, and he will always show you which path to take. And if you take a close look at my logo, the V, there's two paths. And I believe that the Lord will always show you which path to take. And that's a quote that I live by. It's a quote that I chant throughout the day. And it means so much to me because no matter what we're going through, whether it has to do with the pandemic, that the business slowed down, that one of my loved ones got sick or passed away, I just start chanting that Proverbs 3:5-6. And I just trust that the Lord will always show us which path to take. And that's my favorite quote. And that's one that I live by.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. You've given us so much knowledge, so much, items for people to go back and reflect on, see what they're doing with themselves and how much more they can improve or what else they can do, because there's always room for improvement. So, Joanna, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you being on.
And I want to thank you as well for having me here.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and share this podcast with your network. Your support helps our LatinX business community grow stronger with every listen, and I truly invite you to connect with us. Send us your questions, your comments, or even your own business stories to randy@rgtaxes.com. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, keep learning, keep building your business, and keep growing your business mindset.